Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along again. Yesterday I did one of these videos showing you how I got the David Gilmour, the wall patch with the Line 6 Helix. I have been asked to do this one as well, so I just decided to do it today rather than hang about as the guy who wanted it is needing it in a sort of hurry. Before I do start this video, I'd just like to thank Bruno very much. Bruno sent me through a whole load of patches for the Helix, and also, more importantly I think, a whole load of impulse responses for it as well, as part of a couple of packs that he sent me through. So they're very, very much appreciated, Bruno, and that's what the spirit of this whole thing is all about as far as I'm concerned. So muchos apreciaticus, whatever it is. Thanks very much, Bruno. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, on with the video. We're going to do a patch today for Comfortably Numb. It's a very, very popular song. Most sort of pub and club bands will play this song. Most guys that are learning guitar will want to play this song, and getting the sound for it is one of the main things about it. You can be as brilliant as you want on the fretboard. If you have not got the proper sound for this thing, then it's not going to sound very, very great. So rather than doing what I did yesterday with another brick in the wall, whereby I had all the blocks already in and just showed you how the reasons why I put them there, we're going to do things from scratch here. Okay, so that's what as you can see here, we've got a brand new preset. I haven't even named it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, this is the signal path. So signal path, everything going in, so it's multi, so absolutely everything. If I leave this like that, it's going to end. The signal path is going to go from there and end to there, but I want it to come down here. Okay, so that I've got more options. So I'm going to go path 2A. So that means basically signal path's coming in there, coming along to here, and then coming down and getting in here and along and ending here. So exactly the same, or virtually the exact same as I would normally set up my analog board. So the very, very first thing that we want to look at here is amplifier, and as I explained yesterday, we know that David Gilmour uses a high watt, so we're going to look at a high watt amp here. It says who watt in here, it's actually a high watt. Before I start playing anything, I'm going to add a cab. I'm going to add a couple of cabs to that. So on the left here, right, we have a 4x12 high watt, and if I just drag that down, you can see the signal will split, and then we want a 4x12 high watt again. As we did yesterday with the wall patch, we are going to change this microphone to the SM57. The reason for that is it gives me a slightly cleaner tone. David Gilmour uses a variety of microphones. That's the seat that's squeaking, just in case anyone's got any ideas of what it might be. David Gilmour uses a variety of mics, so the combination that I always use is the SM57 on the left channel, and on the right channel I use the 121 ribbon mic. That gives it a nice blend. Like I said yesterday, the 121 is more of a bassy mic. It gives it a bit of low mid, whereas the 57 is very, very clean. So the both of these mics mixed in together give you a really, really nice, sweet, sweet sound. So we'll just. Okay, today I'm using my 1963 Strat, my Sunburst one, so it's got the original pickups and stuff in it. So, okay, so this is where we're going to go to our amp settings now. Gilmour likes a very, very clean amp, so I'm going to bring that down to 4. And the bass is miles up here. I'm going to bring that down to 4.5. Gilmour doesn't use an awful lot of bass. The mids, we're going to bring up to somewhere in that sort of region, and the treble up to somewhere there. And presence back a wee bit from that, 3.6, 3.7. Okay, master we're going to have all the way up. Because it's a Gilmour patch, first rule of Gilmour patch, get the master all the way up so that you can have a nice clean amp. And the channel volume we're going to raise just a wee bit as well, up to about 6.6. Everything else I leave as is. The sag, the hum, the ripple, the bias. These are things that you don't get a chance to set on the fly on a normal amp, and I don't really bother with them here unless there's something, you know, there's something that's really bothering me with the tone. Then I'll go into these things, but this one seems fine, so just. So you can hear that's nice and clean. So that's our starting point at all times. Now, we're going to be using a bit of dirt on this, so I'm going to stick in a noise gate into this. And we're going to just push that up a wee bit. And we're going to push that up just slightly as well. Purely because we're using a bit of dirt in this patch. So it's not going to affect very much dynamically. It's just going to keep it nice and quiet for us. So the next thing that I will normally get in is my David Gilmour uses this just as a matter of course, and it's an analog chorus. He uses a Boss CH1 in here. The speed we're going to pull up to 6 Hertz, if I can get it there eventually. Depth we'll keep at 70, tone we'll keep at 50, and we're going to bring that back to 32. That is the settings that David Gilmour, almost exactly, that David Gilmour uses for this. Like I said yesterday, it's great if you're using this in a mono setup. It gives it very much a stereo feel. If you set up the amp and the cabs in such a way and stick the modulation in front of one of them, I don't know if you'll be able to hear a difference. Probably not. Very slightly, you can hear it just now. Okay. So, the general rule of thumb with when you're using any sort of distortion or overdrive is you shouldn't really use compression in front of it. However, that's not what David Gilmour does. David Gilmour uses compression in front of it. So we're going to start off, and in this patch we're going to have a blue compressor, and as I said to you yesterday, the blue compressor is modelled on the Boss CS1, and we're just going to pull that back just a tad and pull this back to about 75. And that gives us where Gilmour would have the settings of his CS1. Now, as I say, the general rule of thumb is don't use compression when you've got distortion pedals active, because the distortion pedals are obviously they're compressed anyway. I would never do this if I was using humbucking pickups, but because we're using single coils, you can get away with it, and it just gives it a wee bit more sustain, a wee bit more beef without having to try too hard. It's easier to play, as far as I'm concerned as well. So David Gilmour will use, he stacks these gain stages all the time. So he will use 2 BK Butler tube drivers, and we have a copy of that here. Okay, so the tube drives. So we're going to bring both of these in. So take this one off just now, and we'll start off working on this one. Now this first one he uses is a very slight overdrive. He uses it mainly for EQ purposes, to EQ the actual what's happening with the second drive itself. So the drive isn't high on this. We'll have to fiddle about with it, but anywhere between sort of 30 and 40%, depending on what model it is you have, what unit it is you're playing about with. The bass it will bring right the way up to 75%. Normally with the BK Butler tube driver, it would leave the mids where they are, but we've got to give them, because this, as I say, is it's a copy of it, it's a model of it, we're going to have to push the mids a wee bit, and we want to bring them up to about 72, 73, up the treble as well. Output, we will bring that back to 60. Now I'm only saying 60 because that's where it works for me. Okay, anywhere between sort of 50 and 65. I'm going to build you the basic patch here, and then we'll start tweaking it to whatever my ears tell me is right. One thing before we go any further that I'm going to leave out, that David Gilmour would always, David Gilmour has Leslie cabinets running constantly. It's a big effect on Comfortably Numb, is the Leslies that are running. I'm not going to add it on here, and the reason I'm not going to add it on here is because I've tried the Leslie simulators on here and I don't like them at all. I've tried everything to get a decent Gilmourish sound from the Leslie models on here, and I just can't get it. So I'm not going to bother putting it in. I've also tried putting a bit of tremolo in, and the tremolo actually works better. A nice slow tremolo works better than the Leslie simulators on here. So I'm going to leave it out for now. We may add the tremolo in at a later date. So that's our first distortion. So we'll just... So as you can hear from that, there's not an awful lot of happening with it. There's not an awful lot of overdrive, but as I say, he uses that mainly just to push this second one that wee bit more, and to give it a wee bit of bottom end and a wee bit of clarity at the same time. So here we go with the second one. Now this pedal can be really tricky to dial in, and you've really just got to use your ear with it. The drive, David Gilmour probably has a way up round about the 90% mark, or 80 odd 85% on his dial. On the tube driver, we're going to have to mess about with it, so we'll start off round about 70 odd %, and then we'll dial back and forward as we see fit with the drive. The bass, we are going to pull up ever so slightly. We're going to leave this time the mids where they are, and we're going to pull the treble up just to about there. And the output we're going to bring back just slightly just now. As I said, that these things are going to have to be tweakable. Excuse me till I get a drink. So let's hear that. Okay, that sounds as if it's probably needing a wee push in the mids to me, and needing a wee bit more drive, so we're going to do that just now. Not too much, because I want to add the rest of the effects in first before we give it the final tweaks, and I'll give that up to about 80. Let's try that. That sounds closer to what we're looking for just now. Okay, so second last block of the chain here, I'm going to put in some reverb. like I said yesterday, David Gilmour doesn't use reverb because he doesn't have to. He's playing arenas and stadiums. I'm not. I'm playing pubs and clubs. So I've got to create that air, that sort of spaciousness, and I'll do that with a bit of plate reverb. So I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to bring the decay time back to about 6.2. Pre-delay I'll leave where it is. Low cut and high cut is absolutely fine, and the mix I'm going to just push that a wee bit. That seems not bad. Now I know some of you out there are going to be shouting at me here and saying, oh, David Gilmour used a big muff and he used a blues driver before. I know that. That's exactly what I have on my analog board. In the studio when David Gilmour was recording this, he used a colour drive as his first distortion pedal, and he used a big muff as his second one, and he used that for pretty much that sort of setup pretty much most of the 70s. We're not trying to emulate David Gilmour's studio setup here. We're trying to emulate the one that I like the best, which is sort of 1994, the Pulse tour that he did when they were touring the Division Bell album, and it was 2 BK Butlers that he was using at that time, so hence the reason why that's exactly what I'm doing just now. So in here we're going to have a bit of delay as well. David Gilmour used a variety of delays, but for stuff like this it would just be a straightforward digital delay. He would do this round about the 650 milliseconds. So feedback at 30, bass and treble both at 50, and the mix we're going to bring that back to 30 as well. Okay, so we may have to turn the mix up a wee bit on this, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, I think we could be doing with a wee bit more push from this first distortion pedal. Like anything, this is very much to taste. So we're going to give this a wee bit more drive, maybe up to about 36 or 37. Let's try that. As far as distortion levels are concerned, that sounds to my ears pretty much spot on. It is missing something though. It is missing the Leslie. Unfortunately, I'll let you hear what the Leslie's like. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I've tried it in here in this this block here. I've tried it here. I've tried it absolutely everywhere. So let's try it before the amp. Before first, we'll do that first. Okay. So rotary drum. Okay, we want this slow. We're going to have the depth around about 65. Now I'm only going with the sort of settings that I know David Gilmour has with his Leslies. The drive right off, and the mix, he would normally have them around about the 50% mark. It's quite a prominent effect in this song. So I'll let you hear. That's the sort of settings that David Gilmour would have with his Leslie cabinets. quite a mess of that one, but never mind. That actually doesn't sound too bad. I think I maybe need to give this a wee jag here on the desk, because my ears may be deceiving me. Put the speed up just ever so we can't do it. It's either fast or slow with the speed here. Okay, so we can't touch the speed of the ramping up speed or anything. I think we'll give it a bit more tone and we'll give it a wee bit of drive, and let's see how that sounds. Okay, it's still not there. I don't know if I like that or not. Let's see what it sounds like after it. So just on the left side, we'll try it out first. Well, I do not like that, so we'll try one down here. And speed again, slow, depth, round about there, tone we'll have about here, back just a tad, and the mix round about 50. So. That may work, but I'm going to have to bring the mix back a bit. Okay, we're still missing a bit of something, so we're missing a wee bit of mid from somewhere. I don't really want to push that very much further. Let's try pushing this a wee bit and this a wee bit, and let's hear what that sounds like. I don't like that Leslie there at all. As I say, I've tried these all over the place, and that sounds about the best place for that. If we're going to use that at all, personally I would stick a tremolo in there. So let's try the tremolo. So the octo trem will have it nice and slow around about 2.1, and the depth will pull back to about 70. We don't want it overpowering, and the mix of this will pull down to about 30. Let's try that. So for my ears, I think that's a much better option than the Leslie simulator. I just don't like it on here, and I've played about with it and I've tried it, and adding a wee bit of tremolo before the amp seems to work an awful lot better, as I say, for my ears. But mess about with it yourselves, see what you can do, and if anyone comes up with something better, or even works out how to use this rotary drum properly, or better than I'm doing, give me a wee shout and let me know, but that would be my patch for Comfortably Numb. So as I say, there's no great secrets behind it. David Gilmour's a great one for gain stacking. So rather than having one pedal that he'll just beast out every single bit of gain that he's got, he'll do things gradually. So he'll add in the compressor, then he'll add in a wee tiny bit of overdrive with his next pedal, and then a wee bit more overdrive with his next pedal, and that's what gives him that lovely, warm, smooth tone when he's playing. A lot of the times with David Gilmour, he's playing really high gain stuff, and you wouldn't even know it was high gain because it's so smooth. It's just really, really lovely. Yeah, and I know a lot of that's in his hands, and his heart and his soul, but we're trying to get as close as we possibly can to it. So for Jamesy, I hope this has helped you out, and I hope you can I'll get you a bit closer to going out and playing the song with a bit of authenticity to it. That's certainly what I would do as far as Comfortably Numb is concerned, and I used something similar for On the Turning Away by Pink Floyd as well. It's a similar patch. It was with slightly less mids. I've got the mids scooped out on the amp a bit, which makes it that bit more distorted rather than overdriven. So that's it. Hope you've all enjoyed that today. Hope I've not bored the life out of you. Have a great weekend. I'm certainly going to, because the weather's still absolutely brilliant here. So I'm going to go and sit out the back and play with my dog for a wee bit, and I will bid you all a very good weekend, and I will speak to you again next week. Cheers.